Before starting, I wish to thank the Brother Anthony, Mr. Chan, and the other members of Royal Asiatic Society for allowing me this opportunity of presenting this case about North Korean terrorists. I'm very much appreciative of this opportunity because since I published this book the year before last, I have had very little, very little sort of favorable responses from this country. Also, the international media paid some attention to the book. By way of posing questions related to why I have taken this sort of odd interest in a terrorist, a criminal, a heinous criminal who attacked, who sort of murdered, killed so many lives. I plan to pose some questions related to what I'm going to tell this evening, and I plan to sort of I intended to make some quotes, pose questions related to my presentation. The first one is whether we should care about a person or persons who are not directly sort of related to our interest, yes, you see the Bible. I'm sure you are all very familiar with this. And the God asks, "Where is your brother?" And the kind answer is, he doesn't know. And why should he care? And this has been invoked. In made by Catholic priests, Catholic clergy people, in reminding people of the kind of empathy they should have, the kind of feeling they should have about their fellow human beings, however unrelated they are to their immediate interest, etc. Another problem I plan to pose to you is that increasingly in public as well as private affairs, it seems to be difficult for me to tell prosecutors from victims. Who are the victims and who are the prosecutors? The first prosecutor, the first murderer, the first prosecutor in human history is probably Cain. But sometimes I wonder if we ask Cain if he was the first prosecutor in human history, probably his response was in the negative. That probably he claimed himself to be. Yes, it's always like this. When I'm doing something serious, somebody calls me, somebody probably offers me. Yes, this is serious problem. 미안합니다. 지금 어디서 강의를 하고 있어가지고요. 예. 근데 그 제가 보낸 메시지 좀 보세요. 아마 어쩌면 그 취업 찬스가 있는 것 같습니다. 예. 예. 조금 이따 한 시간 후에 통화하십시다. 예. Sorry. Yes. You see, this applies to almost every case I know of, or I can imagine of, involving persecutors and victims. Even a common criminal, when we ask him, when we sort of try to draw him out on what he really feels about himself, mostly claims himself to be the victims rather than persecutor, rather than a criminal. And we ask Kang, for instance, you are the origin of all the persecutors of human history. Probably his answer would have been something like this: look, I'm a victim. The God has been treating me in an invidious way, discriminating. And even my younger brother is sort of looking down on me, so something like that. How can I sort of put up with that kind of sort of unfair treatment? So I was compelled to commit the kind of crime we accuse him of. Yes, you see, I'm sure you can all read this. This is Pope Francisco sort of holding Italians to account for a group of illegal immigrants trying to enter Europe in a place called Lampedusa. I don't know where it is, but they were shipwrecked. They had shipwrecked and all drowned. And the Pope Francisco was asking this. Can you read all this? I'm sure you can. He was asking that who is going to be responsible for this situation? And I'm sure you will all reply that I do not know. I'm not. And he was sort of holding the Italians to account for this, that they were losing brotherly responsibility, and that was exactly the kind of response Cain gave to the God at the beginning of our history. Another one happened to be another Catholic. He was Cardinal Kim Do-hwan, and a young student by the name of Park Jong-chul was tortured by the police and died. And the cardinal was again invoking the Bible, a passage from Genesis that all of us politicians, people, government officials, everybody should kneel down before the cruel death of a young man, etc., etc. I think I do not have to repeat this. Yes. The question I'm posing is that whether we can we invoke the same kind of response to this North Korean terrorist who died in Myanmar after serving there for 25 years. Okay, another quotation is from William Faulkner, who said that there's this past. This is sort of past. It's been 40 years. So and the young man died. He died in 2008. So it's past and buried. But is it really past? I do not think it is past. Yes, past is never past. That's what I sort of think. That's what I think. Yes. Another problem. Lee Ho-chul is a leading articles writer of Jong-yil, and he once had a very sort of significant statement, significant words about about truth and untruth. He said, he was saying that obliviousness, forgetfulness is the opposite of truth. Truth could be buried because of our forgetfulness. Now, yes, these are the sort of questions I tried to raise before this Murakami Haruki, relations between the state and individual human beings. Yes, I'd better make my intention very clear that I'm not offering any apology for the terrorist. He's a criminal and a terrorist. But something wanted to draw your attention to something which is hidden from our views, the circumstances under which he lived and acted. And I will leave the judgment about him to you, to my readers, and also to who listen to my presentations. Yes, paradox of operatives. Yes, the year before last, 30th anniversary of Aungsan terrorist attack, and there was some commemoration of the incident, but the narratives remained the same for the past 30 years. First, the terrorist attack by Kim Il-sung regime, North Korean regime, and the victim, the victimization of the South Korean people. So we need to reinforce the security awareness required. That was all. The narrative hasn't changed for 30 years. And monument raised commemorating the victims of the attack, but nobody paid any attention to the young man, the terrorist. He was, yes, this is the man, yes, 83, he was 25 years of age, and 98, I had a special sort of privilege. I had a special permission from Burmese intelligence, chief of Burmese intelligence service, General Kim Yun, I think. General Kim Yun, and I was sort of negotiating about something about intelligence cooperation. And at the end of the negotiation, somehow I sort of persuaded him to allow our access to this man serving in the prison. It was when he was 25 years age before the terrorist attack. This was when our man in Myanmar had an interview with him in the prison, Insein prison. And you see his arms are folded, and hidden behind this right arm is he lost one arm. He was official record has it that he was 27 years of age, 1983, but he was actually 25 years of age, and his name is pseudonym, so the so-called nom de guerre. No, I think this name and the age was given to him because he was trying to assume identity of South Korean student, Seoul National University student, whose name was Kang Mincheol. But he was found out that Kang Mincheol was actually in Korea at the time. The reason he lost one arm, Kang Mincheol and the leader, Kang Mincheol was a captain of North Korean Special Forces, and the leader of the group, the North Korea sent a 3-man group of terrorists to Burma to assassinate our president, Chun Do-hwan. And Kang Mincheol was a captain The leader of the group was Kim Jin-soo, Major Kim Jin-soo. Both of them lost one arm. What happened was that they were given intentionally wrong hand grenade. The North Koreans, you know, anybody who has military experiences knows that hand grenade, after removing the safety pin, if you keep the button down, doesn't explode. It explodes when you release them, throw them after 3 seconds or 5 seconds, depending on how much lead the time you give to the hand grenade. But then the hand grenade they used, they were sort of throwing to the Burmese soldiers, exploded in their hand as soon as they had removed the safety pin. It was given, I think it was given by the North Koreans to sort of compel them, to force them unintentional suicide. Both of them lost just one arm. According to North Korean manuals of how to commit suicide when you are about to be captured, is that if you have a hand grenade, remove the safety pin and place it under your chin. But they didn't do that. They were throwing. They were trying to throw it against the enemy. Both of them lost one arm. The lost arm he was hiding under his. Yes, he had a sister, mother. His father had passed away. He was a captain. Okay. A good-looking young man. Yes, I have interviewed his prison cellmates after his death, and according to the testimony, his regret was about not having successfully performed his mission, carried out his mission, but he regret not doing filial duties to his mother and his sister. As the only son of the family, he failed to look after his sister until she gets married, and that's sort of a personal sort of regrets he had. Ultimately, he was converted to Christianity and died as a Christian. Okay. Now, yes, he was 25 years of age, and he served in the prison for 25 years before finally succumbing to liver cancer. But there was some doubts about circumstances under which he died. His prison cellmate, the official record has it that he died of liver cancer. But his prison cellmates denied that he looked quite healthy until he was taken to hospital one day, and he never returned. That's what. So that still remains a question. And his remains, there was no funeral. I asked Burmese, the Myanmese officials, whether there was any funeral, and the answer was that there was no funeral. And his remains cremated and the ashes were scattered. And I asked again where his ash was scattered. They couldn't remember. So he was sort of the man completely sort of evaporated from the earth. And the Burmese official told me I was the only one who sort of inquired about this sort of things. So there is no trace of him in this world. And there was, of course, nothing to remember him by. And that was my book. And this was when he was captured, after sustaining grave wounds all over his body. in addition to having lost his. Yes, what happened was that I still do not understand is that when the attack at Aung San took place, the liberals or progressive people or people working for democratization didn't believe that, didn't believe what they were told by the government. Mostly they sort of look at the whole incident from the perspective of conspiracy theory. It was made up by Korean National Security Planning Board, which is the former title of NIS, National Intelligence Service. That's something I do not understand. Why liberals or progressive elements in Korea always look at, always approach, always think of this kind of incident from the perspective of conspiracy theory. That obviously it was committed by North Korea. It's quite clear. Nobody looked at the incident as a North Korean response to what had happened in Gwangju 3 years earlier. The North Korean strategy, in short, North Korean strategy is sort of a consistent strategy of the unifying Korea is composed of two elements. One is maturing of revolutionary conditions in the South. The North Korean leadership looks at South Korea always as a regime which is inevitably, which is someday, matter of time, it was going to sort of collapse somehow because of the internal contradictions of the society. It's about the same the attitude. Some South Koreans looking at North Korean regime. Quite a large number of North Koreans, South Koreans look at North Korea as in a kind of collapse scenario. The North Korean regime is going to collapse someday, or sooner rather than later. North Koreans looking at South Korea, something in a similar way that due to internal contradictions of capitalism and a country economically, politically, militarily dependent on outside powers, is going to collapse due to internal contradictions. But then, yes, revolutionary potentials has to mature first, and then there is inevitably there will be revolutionary situations. And when the South Korean soldiers were drawn into to sort of stabilize the situation, the North Korean army, North Korean military will have to intervene to finish, to accomplish the task of unifying the Korea. What happened in Gwangju in 3 years earlier, 1980, was almost like a textbook event. That there was a large-scale civic sort of unrest, civic sort of revolt in Gwangju, and the Chun Do-hwan regime, the new military, under the new military sort of authoritarian government was largely sort of unpopular in South Korea, and South Korean soldiers were drawn to were sent to Gwangju to sort of carry down, and large number of civilians were being killed. North Korea had to intervene according to their sort of strategy. What prevented them from intervening once America sent their sort of aircraft carriers, naval sort of maneuvers, serving very clear warning against North Korea then, that if North Korea intervened, Americans would be sitting back, wouldn't be completely different. It will be completely different from the situation in 1950. So what they could do was terrorist attack on Chun Do-hwan. By eliminating Chun Do-hwan, the North Korean leadership had expected that they could sort of increase their political ascent in South Korea, and they could pose themselves as a sort of helping democratic element in South Korea by eliminating the tyrant and authoritarian ruler. So Aung San was fourth attempt by North Korea to assassinate Chun Do-hwan. First, they tried it in Canada, which failed. They tried to make use of local criminal organization to get Chun Do-hwan assassinated when he was visiting Canada, and that failed. And the next time, they were trying to do the same in the Philippines when Chun Do-hwan was visiting there and playing ball. Again, they were trying to make use of local criminal elements, and then it failed again. So at the time, they tried to do that in Gabon, Africa, and that again became abortive. Kim Il-sung cancelled that. Kim Il-sung cancelled the whole thing at the last minute because he was afraid that he will antagonize the feelings of Africans if they had done that in Africa. So the first time it was in Burma, and they failed. Also, they succeeded in killing 17 South Korean high officials. Even after Myanmar, North Korea still wanted to had plans to get Chun Do-hwan assassinated, but that was cancelled because it's kind of, is it funny or paradox? They became chummies. They became very sort of close to one another. Kim Il-sung and Chun Do-hwan became very close friends. They were sort of praising each other as great leader of the nation, great something like the patriot of Korea, something like that. Right. Yes, that was about sort of clandestine warfare, which had been going on between North and the South even after the ceasefire. The North Korean provocations, violent provocations, and the South Koreans were doing about the same things too. Yes, that was, I think you all know about that. Yes, Gwangju incident. It's almost a textbook case. A large-scale uprising by citizens. North Koreans had expected this for some time, that I think the South Korea will be, they will take place in South Korea, something like this Gwangju incident of 1983, but they couldn't do anything directly. Yes, that was, I think, Aung San terrorist attack was direct North Korean response to what had happened in Gwangju 3 years earlier. Yes. And why the President Chun Do-hwan chose to visit Burma? Burma was not, they were going to make a tour of Southeast Asian countries. 1983. But Burma was not included in the plan prepared by the Foreign Ministry. And the order, instruction came directly from Blue House to the Foreign Office, instructing them that the president has to go to Burma. Why? Still remains a question, still remains a mystery. But there are no sort of direct evidence, but circumstantial evidences and many sort of testimonies by people involved in the event at the time was that Chun Do-hwan, President Chun Do-hwan, wanted to remain a man of real power behind the scene even after his retirement, which was to take place in 5 years' time. Somebody, yes. A person very close to the president, according to some testimonies, told President Chung that he could still remain with power even after his retirement in 5 years' time. Like what? Like General Nevin of Burma. By visiting, by making a visit to Burma, he could learn a page from Nevin's experiences and the know-how, how to remain a man with real power behind the scene. Nevin, after his retirement from the top position in the government, put up somebody, sort of puppet as the president, but he had real power behind the scene. And also in Burma, he could sort of cultivate personal acquaintance with General Nevin too. Apart from that, I could not imagine any rational reason why he had to go to Burma, because National Security Planning Board, NSPB was opposed to his going there because of security risk. Foreign Ministry was against that too. Actually, the Foreign Minister, Lee Bum-seok, who died in Aungsan, cursed and swore at a certain person very close to President Chun Do-hwan for sort of forcing them to go to Burma too. He sort of spat out some dirty words in the presence of journalists. So that still remains a question, but there is no direct evidence. Yes, that was what has happened. Yes. My thesis is that the two Koreas remain antagonistic to one another, not because they are different, but because they are so similar. That was, but this is a very interesting sketch drawn by Lee Jung-seok, a famous artist, 1952. He died in poverty, extreme penury. You see, the title was that he drew it on a cigarette pack. The title was Two Animals Engaged in Mortal Combat. Funny thing is that two beasts, one with a knife, one with a hammer, at each other's throat. But their tails are sort of tied together, so they cannot disengage themselves from one another. So they have to fight it out until one dies, 1952. Probably he was thinking of the conflict raging in the peninsula at that time. Korean War, Kim Shin-jo, raid on Blue House, January 1968. But that was yes, North Korean submarine stranded on the east coast of Korea. Yeah. Yes, that was Gwangju incident. Gwangju again. The soldiers. Yes, American aircraft carriers. Yes, this is what actually there was a special TV program raising questions about that and drawing conclusion that it is very likely that Chun Do-hwan went to Burma for ulterior political motive, not out of diplomatic or economic motivations. Yes. The commemorative postage commemorating the presidential tour of Southeast Asian countries. That's Aungsan Mausoleum. Yes, the Korean very high-ranking officials, the foreign minister here, my good friend Kim Jae, yeah, my senior, 2 years my senior in the college, very nice man. This Mr. Ham also was working for the president at that time. The same picture. After the explosion, yes, after the bombing, wounded journalists. I'm sure you have seen this. This is the National Cemetery. What happened was that one of the questions still remaining is that Kang Mincheol, while he was in prison, told his cellmates that he did not detonate the bomb. The bomb went off by themselves. Incredible. Official sort of history has it that the president escaped assassination because he was being late. He was late for the appointment due to some misunderstanding, miscommunication between two foreign ministries. Foreign Minister of Burma came late, about 5-6 minutes later than the appointed time. So he was being late. He was behind the schedule, and the terrorist mistook Korean ambassador in Burma for the president and they detonated the bomb. According to Kang Mincheol, that was not true. The bomb went off by themselves. That still remains a question too. You see, exactly the same thing happened 13 years before at National Cemetery. 3 North Korean agents were trying to plant bomb here, where President Park Chung-hee at that time, President was Park Chung-hee, was coming here on the occasion of 20th anniversary of Korean War to pay his respect to the war dead, and then they were going to explode this, detonate the bomb there. But then, when in the process of planting the bomb went up by themselves. So what happened was that one agent was killed immediately on the scene. The two tried to escape, was killed later by the Korean soldiers. The same thing happened in Burma after 13 years. So I do not know which version is right, but I'm inclined to believe Kang Mincheol's confession, according to what he told his cellmates, the prisoners in the same prison, was that it was only God. They had known that the president was being delayed because they had already planted their own agent in the National Guest House, so that they had known that the president was being late. So they thought that they knew that the president would be on the scene in about 3 minutes time. So they were going to sort of detonate the bomb in about 5 minutes time. But as they were waiting and waiting, the bombs went up by themselves. That was his testimony. So that's not corroborated. In any case, what I had learned later from North Korean agent was that after this failure, 1970, they experimented, they tested their bomb many times, and they didn't find any fault with the bomb. So they planted the same bomb, which had failed, the same bomb in Aungsan Mausoleum. But again, they went up by themselves. I do not know. Any experts on bombs and terrorism? I don't know. These two Claymore bomb, the type of bomb Americans used in Vietnam mostly. And there was another, third one was the incendiary bomb. But that incendiary bomb didn't went up. What they had planned was that after detonation, after the explosion, the incendiary bomb would set the whole thing on fire, erasing all the evidences. But it didn't. So the incendiary bomb didn't explode. So the scene of terrorism was preserved. I do not know what happened. The Claymore bomb detonated by remote control like that, by electronic waves. Maybe there were many sort of in the cities, in urban areas, there are so many waves, other electronic waves, which could have touched off anything. Anyway, Kang Mincheol said that everything was set and everything was going perfect. So what saved Chun Do-hwan's life, he couldn't understand, except for divine intervention. Maybe we can address that question to Brother Anthony, whether divine intervention will take place in such a another thing funny was that it's not really funny. The thing is that North Korea tried to completely to wash their hands of the whole incident, but they planted so many evidences that pointing to their own hand. The agents were not sort of well prepared for interrogations. Their sort of testimonies, testimonies were found out very easily. And there was no plan B. The original plan was, after the incident, the terrorist was to go to the Rangoon River, and there was a speedboat was to wait for them there. The speedboat was going to take them to the mouth of the river, where mothership was to wait for them there, and then they would be on the sea safely. But there was no speedboat, there was no ship, mothership. Their miscalculation was that when they were asking for the permission for their ship to anchor in the mouth of the river, that application was denied, rejected by Burmese government, because South Korean president was in Burma. North Korea didn't expect that. So the mothership couldn't come to Burma, but North Korean authorities, officials, kept it secret to their agents, probably not to discourage them, not to demoralize them. So they kept it so they were all captured or killed, trying to escape through the river. They had still believed that a ship was waiting for them at the mouth of the river. Also, the weapons they gave to their agent were clearly marked, sort of marked with North Korean hands on there. Weapons given to the agent were those registered in the Jane's yearbooks. They had imported pistols, handguns from Belgium, and then they were recorded in there. So their handguns, the hand grenade, everything clearly sort of pointing to North Korea. And after the failure of the attack, North Korean authorities blamed their own agent. These stupid people, should have committed suicide. And one funny episode was that these people are from the military. Had we sent agents from our party, they would have successfully carried out the mission. The difference was that party agents are from universities. The military agents only high school education background. The same South and North Korea. They value the formal education, record of formal education. College education is very important. One of the cellmates, Win King, was deputy to Aung San Suu Kyi. And he was in prison with Kang Mincheol for a very long time, 10 years or something like that. He's dead now. But I interviewed him, and he told me about Kang Mincheol's prison life. This is another Kang Mincheol's cellmate, a businessman, who was imprisoned, according to him, for simple reason that he was trying to he was trying to spread Christianity. He was a Christian man, Burmese of Chinese origin. He was very active, trying to proselytize mostly Burmese population to Christianity. He told me, according to his sort of arguments, but he was with Kang Mincheol for a very, very long time in the prison, and his testimony was also very, very helpful. According to him, what Kang Mincheol wanted most was to get married once. He didn't know that married life is not all that great. He told his cellmate that he didn't do so much as touch a female's hand. He had a girlfriend, something like a girlfriend. He was going to get married. Had he sort of returned safe to the after his mission in Burma, he was to get married. But then they just looked at each other from the distance and never sort of had any physical contact. Another cellmate. There is no plan B. Mostly in a mission like this, there are always plan B. If plan A does not work, then the agent should have a plan B to rely on, to resort to. But there is no plan B. Yes, this is sort of, was it funny? Chun Do-hwan, the North Korea cancelled another plan to assassinate Chun Do-hwan. Their plan was to sort of pretending to work on the road they were going to plant bombs on the road where Chun Do-hwan was going, and then detonated when Chun Do-hwan was driving on that road. But that was cancelled because they become good friends. The two real protagonists of tragedy at Aungsan, friendly relations, praised each other as great leaders of the nation, talked about summit talks, even ultimate unification. But exchanging very expensive gifts, etc. But they didn't mention at all about the fate of a young man who was in prison. Yes. Kang Mincheol, after graduating from high school, 18 years of age, he entered military service, like most of the young men in North Korea. And he was immediately recruited to special service, special sort of agent, which is supposed to be a great privilege. And they enjoy lots of privileges. And he served in the training is a murderous training, testing the extreme limits of human physical capacity. And he survived all that and became a captain of special forces. But according to testimonies of his cellmates, he had only one arm. He had lost one arm, had only one arm. But he was teaching taekwondo, the martial arts, to the Burmese special forces, and he could easily beat 5 of them in a sort of hand-to-hand fight. And he could climb trees. He could climb trees very quickly and pick up mangoes, things like that, and then give them to his friends. Yes. I tried to get him repatriated either to Korea, but Korean government wouldn't agree. It was a sunshine policy period, and they didn't want. They feared that Kang Mincheol could be an obstacle in cultivating good relations with North Korea. So, yes, Kang Mincheol. Yes. So, somehow, you see, I still wonder, out of 7 million Koreans who are very proud that we share the same language, culture, history, same blood, ethnicity, etc., there is nobody except for one man who cared about this. Maybe I'm insane. Maybe I'm not normal. Or what? I failed to persuade my government to sort of negotiate with Burma to bring him back to Korea. I asked Reverend Billy Kim. Billy Kim is internationally very active, had good connections abroad. And I asked Reverend Billy Kim to go to Burma and negotiate for his release. And what I was hoping was that if his presence in Korea would be awkward, would create kind of awkward situation, then probably he could take them to ethnic Korean community abroad, like Australia or Los Angeles, etc., where he could get married somehow, because he wanted to get married so much. A normal life outside of prison, just for a day or two. Billy Kim went to Burma twice, at my sort of request, but failed because Burmese government according to him, was willing to release him because he had already served like 20 years. But then he couldn't release the prisoner to a private person. And the government asked for his release. They could have considered that, but not to a private person. That was also failed. And once I asked a foreign diplomat if he could take him to his country, but he wouldn't do that. There's some doubts. Real cause of his death, Mincheol was a student activist who was also in prison. And he told me about security of Insein prison was very relaxed. So anybody could easily infiltrate into the prison. And Kang Mincheol was always afraid that North Korea might be doing something about him. He was very careful about the food he was taking. He used to cook for himself instead of taking the food given by the prison authorities. He was afraid of being poisoned, that kind of things. Did the bomb really go off by themselves? That again remains a question. Yes, Chun Do-hwan insisted on, despite objections from Foreign Ministry and also Korean intelligence services. Somehow this still remains a question. National Security Planning Board, according to officials I met, they had intelligences that North Korea might be doing something to harm the president while on a visit in Burma. But it was never related to the president somehow. The director was Mr. No. He later became prime minister, but he didn't relay. He didn't give this information about possible danger and even probable danger to his security in Burma to the president. I asked him, why didn't you do that? And he, Mr. No told me, No Shin-young told me that, well, the foreign visit of the president is in the hands of the foreign ministry. So intelligence service has nothing to do with that. That was strange. I couldn't understand. I couldn't sort of. Maybe is it a good explanation? He knew the real motive behind the president's visit to Burma, and he didn't want to sort of cause difficulty, trouble to the president. He knew that president already had set his mind to going to Burma. So had he sort of advised him against that, he could be in his bad book too. So probably he sort of didn't give that information to him. I do not know, but that's the only thing I can think of. There was University of Leiden last year invited me to give a talk on the poster they put up. This Dutch newspaper. This was when they erected a monument for the victims of Aungsan attack in Rangoon. The Dutch newspaper reported, but Korean newspaper were not that much interested. Asahi reported about that. This New York Times, the front page. That's one. Again, International New York Times. That's me in my classroom. This Indian, this Korean. That's all. So all questions. all questions and no sort of no conclusions. So I'll leave it to you to work. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
I'll make it. Who is the son? Who was the commander, the active government, North Korean government officer?
Kim Il-sung.
Directly.
Still Kim Il-sung was at the top.
Kim Il-sung?
In North Korea?
Yeah.
In 1983 it was Kim Il-sung.
Okay.
You mentioned there was an assassination attempt that was called off or never happened in Canada, I guess?
Yes, they did.
I've never heard of that. I'd be very interested. Do you know where it was supposed to take place?
It's something like this. Choi Yong-hee, General Choi Yong-hee, also founder of Korean Taekwondo. And somehow he got in bad relations with Park Chung-hee, and he defected to North Korea. And he was residing in Canada somehow. He didn't live in North Korea. He was welcomed by North Korea too. His son was contacted by North Korea, according to our information. His son was contacted by North Korean officials to organize to get President Chun Do-hwan killed while on a visit in Canada. And this son of General Che contacted the criminal organization, mafia, something like that. And the mafia asked for money, something like $1 million, I hear, but they didn't do anything. Just took the money, didn't do anything. And the similar thing happened in the Philippines. Only after that, the project of assassinating Chun Do-hwan was transferred to special forces, not party officials. That's what happened. That's what I have found out.
So all those university degrees didn't really help you.
No, that didn't help. The divine intervention maybe to save Chun Do-hwan.
Okay.
예, 하시죠. 좀 크게. 잘안 들리죠.
어서 오세요.
They all understand Korean, so don't worry.
카르기 납품 사건에
예.
그 여자분이
김연희
씨하고 김연희 씨
나쁘게 아니라 폭파.
네. 죄송합니다. 폭파였다고 싶어요.
예.
김연희 씨하고 지금 이 똑같은 테러리스트 하고의 정치적 배경이나 뭐 어떤 그런 상황 때문에 두 사람이 좀 틀리게 풀렸는데 그 점에 대해서
그 점에 대해서
생각하시는지 조금 한번 들어보시면
Yes. The question was the comparison between two North Korean agents. One was Kim Hyun-hee, who bombed the Korean aeroplane, and killed many passengers there. But he was given amnesty. He was pardoned, and she's married now and has children, a normal sort of life as a housewife. And he was given, even accorded a royal treatment when he was visiting Japan. But the case with this agent was standing in such a contrast. So there is no explanation for that. Life is unjust. That's probably the only response to that.
She was pretty.
Yes. Well, you see, unjust, I think. And also, you see, the question is Kang Mincheol a victim or persecutor? Is he a victim of confrontation between North and the South? The politics, struggle for power, going with that. Is he a victim? A consequence of the kind of conflict between North and South, or is he just a simple terrorist? That is the question. And right. You see, one thing I found out was that Kim Hyun-hee published his autobiographical publications, and Kang Mincheol was excited about that. And he had asked for a copy of the book, which we gave him in his prison, and he read it over and over. According to him, Kim Hyun-hee was not a real sort of good agent. She was sort of kind of novice. What was that? She was just training to be a terrorist. She didn't undergo the kind of sort of extreme hard training they had to undergo. So extremely lucky. Yeah. Some people are lucky and some people are not. That's life. Yeah, another question, yes, Andrew? Oh, David, sorry.
Mr. Ron, thank you very much for your presentation. I was wondering, you mentioned that after the attack failed, the party in North Korea used that as an opportunity to accuse the military of not being as effective. And clearly, in North Korea, the agents themselves were blamed partly for not committing suicide. But I was wondering if we are aware of any other ramifications inside North Korea. Were there higher ups in the military, special forces commanders who were fired, were executed? Do we know of anything that might have happened as a result of the failure?
Well, first of all, North Korea sort of persisted in denying their implication in the incident. So they were saying that according to testimony, according to what Hwang Jang-hyuk once told me, Kim Il-sung was considering to admit their implications because all the evidence, and South Korea was completely excluded from investigation. Burmese authorities insisted on doing all the investigation by themselves. And their target of investigation was first South Korea. South Koreans may have done it. So South Koreans were forbidden to leave Burma. Those South Koreans residing in Burma were forbidden to leave Burma until after the investigation was over. But after very extensive investigation with international help, they concluded, their conclusion was very sort of clear-cut that it was North Korea. Then they cut off relations with North Korea. Also, they went so far as to de-recognize North Korea as a state, an extreme action, which is probably not quite right from the point of view of international law. That's not quite right. A state cannot de-recognize a country. But Ne Win ruled that objection from Burmese foreign office over. He ruled over that and did that extreme actions. So probably North Korea did not expect the South Korean response, reprisal against that. One episode was that young military leaders of South Korea, General Jong Jong-yil, etc. So I hear, was sort of getting sort of even with North Korea, attacking Pyongyang, etc. But President Chun Do-hwan called him from Burma that you should sort of refrain from doing anything until I return to Seoul. And that stopped them from taking any sort of actions. Probably, if there was divine intervention, probably that was for the sake of restraining South Korean generals from taking action against Pyongyang. There was only Prime Minister Kim was in Seoul, but everybody knew that Kim was not real power. The Prime Minister Kim was the president of Korea University, but he's not real power. He wouldn't have been able to restrain the South Korean generals. But Chun Do-hwan did it. Okay.
What do you think was the impact on Chun Do-hwan of that incident? The impact on President Chun?
Yes.
How did you, afterward, what impact did it, what effect did it have on him?
On
the horror of losing all those?
Chun Do-hwan?
Yeah.
He did a good thing, I think. Insofar as the incident is concerned, he behaved extremely well. One thing was that the situation was very precarious, was dangerous. He was not sure who was the enemy and who was the terrorist. And he was in a very dangerous predicament, a dangerous situation. But he immediately changed his clothes and went to the hospital where the victims, where the wounded and the dying were sort of hospitalized. He paid respect to them, despite restraint from his bodyguard. The bodyguard tried to restrain him, and they wanted President immediately leave the country and go back to Korea. That's one thing, and he won some respect from people around him for doing that. Very brave, very sort of courageous. Another thing was that restraining young South Korean generals. That the South Korean generals immediately, without any evidence, that it was North Korea, and tried to sort of get it back to Pyongyang, attacking Pyongyang. But he very wisely, very sensibly restrained them. Only President Chun could have done that, and that was a good thing for.
Thank you very much.